Welcome back to the Whaley Podcast. We're doing episode 11 and it is 10:30 at night. It's been a long night. So if you see red eyes, it's not because of drug problems.
It's although we would like to know.
Yeah, it's just because it's been late at night. So we've been trying to decide how do we do this podcast. And we were supposed to record on Thursday, but we were doing some other things. And so we've ended up having to do it so late at night. And we can't delay it anymore because we have to do it now.
This is the first one I've been on.
First podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome.
The rest of the family have all done it. This is my first debut.
We even did a family podcast with
Without
everyone
me.
playing a game that you like.
Yeah, they did too without me. Because I was sick or something.
I think Sammy was sick.
Sammy was sick.
So we haven't planned anything. Bonnie's a little nervous.
This is like one of my most nervous situations of trying to have a conversation, which I'm not a good conversationalist, and then having content, which, if you know me, I'll have moments in my life where I'll just talk and talk and talk, and other moments I'm just quiet.
For the most part, you are very, very quiet.
I'm a little mouse.
Big fat mouse.
Yeah.
What's it like being a mom with Sammy, all the responsibilities of him, and not working anymore? Because you were working a lot of hours. You were doing a lot of things before Sammy came along.
Yeah, I think my life was, I felt like every day it was constant work, and it's work that I loved.
Talk to me.
Sorry.
This is not our daily encouragement. This is
Gotta
a
get into
podcast.
the right zone. All right, screw you. I was working long hours every day and really enjoying it. So then it went from that to nothing. And I actually felt, I said to you, I felt like I was having a holiday.
Yeah.
And I planned to get a month holiday. Remember you said, okay, you're finishing work, get some rest in before Sammy comes. And then literally as I finish everything, I get his room ready.
You were still in the process. His room still isn't ready.
Yeah, but I got
Some stuff.
organised a lot of stuff. And I said to myself, okay, now I'm ready to relax. And then I think 2 days later, I go into labour.
Yeah. So it was a month premature.
So then we had him, and I didn't have emails, I didn't have people to contact. It was weird.
Yeah.
In a sense, I kind of missed that because I kind of loved my job. I loved it.
You just love organising things in general.
Yeah, but to the point where people are like, okay, stop working now. I'm like, I'll go all night. But now it's none of that.
Yeah.
And it's good because you get so tired that to focus on all of that would be difficult.
So do you think having Sammy is easier or harder than your old job? Because everyone's job's different. So there's a different level of responsibility and weight and burden.
Yeah.
But for your job, do you think it's easier or harder with Sammy?
I don't know. It's different.
Yeah.
Because usually at the end of your job, you can come home,
Clock out.
I mean, there's always more things to do, but you can literally go, okay, I'm leaving that for tomorrow. Whereas with Sammy, it's constant.
Yeah.
Like literally wake up in the morning to his big smile, and then it's constant until he goes to sleep at night. And then even in the night, I'm feeding every 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
So it's a different, but I think I know that I'm enjoying it now more.
No, I know you're enjoying Sammy and all of that stuff. You're enjoying being a mom.
Yeah.
Obviously, you look very happy. You are very happy. But would you say it's easier to be a mom, full-time, 24/7, can't delay anything?
True.
Or is it easier to work?
I'll say this. Before I was a mum, I would look at the mum lifestyle and I would say, that's easy.
Yeah. Why?
They've got all the time in the world. All they have to do is look after a child.
Yeah.
And your thinking is, they've got all this time because the kid has sleeps, then he goes down at night and he sleeps all night, and that's all they have to do. But now being a mum, it's constant.
Yeah.
So my day-to-day is so structured, and I literally plan everything. If I'm going to go to the shops, it's
Between
when's
sleep
his
times.
nap? And then if he doesn't nap properly, then it stresses me because I'm like, now I've got to. So it's been good not having any other responsibility. So to answer your question, it's easier, but it's also harder in aspects because I'm.
That's such a horrible answer.
I know it's terrible, but it's like I feel more tired now than I did in my job.
Yeah.
And that can be taxing.
Yeah.
And then I'm constantly up through the night. I don't get my space. I'm starting to get that now and find a flow, which has been really good. But at times I thought this is really hard. It's not that what you're doing is hard, it's just you're tired and you don't have a lot of time. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think I've got about an hour limit with Sam. So I'll have him for an hour, and then by the end of that hour, it's not my personal limit.
Yes.
It's that he has a limit of when he needs his mom again.
Yeah.
So he gets so demanding. And so he can be with anybody for 10, 15 minutes. He's wonderful. He smiles, giggles. He's entertained. And then then he starts to get antsy. And so you have to go take him to the fridge or the window or play with the toy. And then 5 minutes later, he's bored of that. And so I can push it probably more than most people outside of you. And then at about an hour, I just can't. There's nothing I can do to entertain him. Pick him up, put him down, crawl him, stand him, walk him. I'll take him through the village for a walk, and I run out of any capability that I have, and then I give him to you, and it's a big smile. It's Mummy's the best.
It makes me so happy.
Yeah, I know. But I'm sure that'll shift over time.
I'm sure it will. When he can run around and you can go do boy things.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to bribe him with some chocolates or something.
make him fat so he can't run around.
Be a mum's boy.
So, for my side of things, thanks for asking.
You're welcome. I will ask the questions.
There hasn't been a huge shift. Obviously, he's wonderful and I love spending time with him. Blah, 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 blah. Nothing new. Everybody knows this. But because you've taken the brunt of the responsibility, you've carried most of it, you've sorted things out. Even coming up to birthdays, his birthday, I wasn't involved. I told you, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to figure stuff out. This is on you.
Yeah.
You figure it out. Which anyone who knows us personally will know that worked out brilliantly, because it meant, because of the pandemic, because of the restrictions, I wasn't allowed into the birthing room, into the delivery suite.
Yeah.
And if we had built an expectation that I would have been there, it would have already thrown you. But because there was no expectation, I was joking, I'm going to Thailand, I'm going to the pub, I'm not going to be there, let me know when it's done. Because that happened, it released me from the pressure and me from like failing and not being there and I can't be there. Released the majority of that pressure. And it also, you didn't build this false expectation where you were disappointed in the moment or you felt lost or whatever. You didn't even say goodbye to me when you went into the delivery room.
I know. You only told me that the other day.
Because you were so focused on, I'm going to get through this, I'm going to figure this out. So it was, I would say it's better than fortune that we planned. We fell into that. It worked very, very well for us.
Yeah, it did. Because the one day you said, I just got the news that hospitals are not allowing the partner in.
Yep.
And I got angry. I thought, no, we're going to make a way. We're going to be able to do it. And you're like, no, Bunny, you got to deal with this. I don't care what you have to do.
Put your big boy pants on.
I remember being so angry at you. Because I thought, I can't be on my own.
I know.
But I think even if you were in the room, I was so focused. It's like everything was a blur anyway.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even say goodbye to you. I don't even remember.
Who cares?
I was so...
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting time. So, and then also the worry of him being a month prem, like, is this okay? there was a little bit of some potential for shock. When we told people the story immediately after he was born, people were crying. People crying listening to the story, and only because of their reactions did I realize that was quite a horrific event. Like, potentially it was quite horrific, quite emotionally taxing.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, and I don't think this was any skill or ability or preparation on our part, because we were unprepared.
Yeah.
I purposefully didn't prepare. I purposely didn't do my homework and watch the things and read up on it, because that's what I do for everything.
Yeah.
I stayed away from it on purpose. And a little bit scared, but usually when I get scared, I go and figure out the skill to understand that and get through it. But this, I purposely didn't. And for whatever reason, we were just able to slide through this. It didn't feel anything bad, did it?
No. You know, I had one day at home where I was terrified because I thought, how am I actually going to get pregnant? And I remember just sitting on my couch going, I don't actually know if I can do this. I know every woman was born for this and it's happening every day. But logically, is it going to be too painful? Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to freak out? Like, I just thought, I don't know if I can do this. So I remember Esther saying, watch the most graphic videos and just get knowledgeable. And I did that the whole day. I just got deep down into the birthing canal and honestly, having that information, I got such a peace.
Really?
And I thought, I can do this. As
really?
Crazy as it was, because I wanted to know every scenario, what potentially could happen. So I watched birthing videos, like the whole range, and even things that could go wrong.
I remember glimpsing over at what you were watching once. And thinking, what is that? Why is there so much?
Yeah, freaked you out.
I was completely shocked.
I wanted you to watch a video.
Nope.
But you missed out. No,
I didn't miss out.
No.
I had no choice unless I was going to be violent and be locked up afterwards. There was no way I was getting in that room.
Yeah.
And we did it the right way.
Yeah.
Not through skill or strategy or ability or preparation. We just knew. I don't know. I don't even know if I knew. I just fumbled upon it.
We just went with it.
We went with our gut, and we got to the right result through something potentially that most people would perceive to be horrific. Yeah. We just glided through it.
Actually, during that time of our lives, a few months leading up to it, you often said, we're just going to go with it. In a number of situations. Mm-hmm. We weren't going to try and orchestrate or make things happen.
Yeah.
Just go with it. Just follow the flow.
Stand back, watch what happens.
Yeah.
You don't have to produce anything here. Just watch what happens.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
And then 2 days after giving birth, you hadn't really seen Sammy. I kept sending you photos. And then the Sunday came 2 days later. You're like, okay, we're going to get him out now.
Yeah.
And we did.
We had to sign all the waivers and all that stuff.
But I had to kind of not fight the doctor, but just say, no, we're doing this.
Stand your ground.
So it was good.
It was fun. It's been good. I don't know about babies. I mean, I love babies, but I don't know every detail. Moms talk for hours and all this stuff. And that's great. I don't talk for hours on this stuff. But from my perception of things, he's been a super easy baby. He's happy.
He is.
Best 10 minutes of the day is the first 10 minutes he's awake, whatever nap he's come from. He smiles, he's
cheeky, he's funny.
Yeah,
I can imagine him running around as an older boy just causing a muck, but laughing at people and just being cute.
Yeah. So, would you recommend people have kids?
Yeah, definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I think if you can... If you can have kids,
you should.
I think so. Yeah, for me, it's been the best.
You don't think it's too hard?
Well, I think the real work's going to come later when he can move around and talk, and so for the 7 months we've been with him, I wouldn't say it's hard. It's not hard what you're doing. It's just, it can be taxing. And so you got to learn how to rest.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to organize well. And
which are your skills?
Fortunately, I'm good at that. My English is not good, but
yeah, I don't know if having kids is a good thing, because I think it really tests your foundations, and I think if you've got a selfish agenda, if you're thinking about yourself, and kids is not the right way to go, because I think the only way you extract joy out of the situation for everyone involved is to be unselfish. If you've got elements of selfishness, then that little potential bundle of joy becomes a little devil, and is taking all your time and distracting you from what you want to do. And I think I think it's devastating for the kid, but it's devastating for the whole family unit. And then if you have that wrong idea or agenda, it can be very damaging. And then kids pick up, they can sense when they're not wanted, or they're not the most valued thing, or it's a horrific psychological thing that maybe they can't even articulate, but that's what they know.
They sense it.
They know that that's going on.
You see some kids, they get heightened, and their levels go up. And
that's called growing, right?
But like they get intense, and you think, then you look at where the mum is, and she's distracted, and then you bring her back, and the kid just instantly feels secure. And I think me personally, I used to be a very selfish person. I don't know if you know that, Sean, but very selfish, and so dealing with that, I think, has helped me to be a mum. But even now, I still see areas of selfishness, and I used to think, I need my time. And so I've had to adjust things in my mindset to go, no, Sammy is my focus. And I'm fortunate that I don't have to do other work.
You've been very good. There's been a few occasions where I've been like, Bonnie, this is the son you wanted, and that you couldn't have for 5 years, and just had to give you a quick little hiding to go, hey, this is a good thing. And then very quickly you get back into alignment, and you're like, this is the right, this is a pleasure, rather than a pain. But I think it's like anything. You can have your ideal job, you can have your ideal career, you can have a good friend, and if you let that perspective shift or slide negatively, heaven can become hell pretty quickly. And then it's a worse hell, because now what do you aim for? Because you've had the ideal and you've lost it. So I think there's almost like a management of perception that's incredibly valuable. So when it's bad times, you don't highlight or overplay that.
True. Also, I think...
And then it means you enjoy the good times when they come along too. Those good moments. And you make opportunity for good moments.
I think also expectation can play a big role, because you can go into something expecting it a certain way, and then when it isn't that way, then you get disappointed or angry. You
were very idealistic. You probably still are idealistic, but when we got married, you were like Hollywood level idealistic ones.
I was, and I'd get so upset if things weren't a certain way, and I was so black and white, and it has to be this way, and if it doesn't, I get so stressed. And
if I didn't agree with you on those issues, then I was a horrible person.
Or if you didn't feel it the way I was feeling it, to smash Hollywood and gossip magazines. Terrible.
They are terrible.
I stopped reading gossip magazines.
Horrific.
They messed me up.
Horrific. Have I been an easy husband? I mean, how many husbands have you had?
You've been the easiest husband I've ever had.
Was I difficult? Because you were a difficult wife. You were very, very difficult in the beginning. Now you're golden. I think.
I don't know about that.
No, you are. You're very.
You've helped me a lot.
but in the beginning it was horrific.
So complicated. Terrible. Anyone getting married, deal with your issues. Don't go into it with issues.
You will only amplify those issues. You will not solve your problem by trying to involve someone else in it. It just makes it worse.
So much worse.
But enough talk about you. Talk about me.
I'm trying to think.
Was I difficult? Am I difficult?
I feel like I can hear the family laughing. You, in a sense, you can be very difficult in that you're very particular and you want a certain way, and if it's not that way, you're not happy.
Yep.
So you got a very high expectation of most things.
Of most things?
Yeah, I think.
I think a select few things, but I make that my world and I make that my focus.
But when you come into a situation, whatever it is, you will want to take. Control's a bad word. I don't mean it in a bad way. You want to get involved. Ownership is a better word. Responsibility, and then do whatever it is to the best of your ability.
Yep.
And that's a great quality. But I think but not everyone's like that, and so it can rub up the wrong way.
Yeah.
But then in another sense, I find you one of the most easygoing people that I know.
Now the family's laughing.
Yeah, I know, I can hear it. Some things you're not fazed about at all. You just...
But I think that's true of everybody. Everyone has their lane where that's important for them, and then 99 other lanes that they don't even know exist.
Yeah.
But I do think I'm a difficult person when it comes to my lane. Like I don't like dilution. I don't like negotiating on what I think is important.
Yes.
I think that's, in some sense, not some sense. Absolutely, I think that's weakness. When you think something's important and then you dilute it, I think that's...
Yeah.
I think that you're a horrible human being when you do that.
You do think that.
Yeah.
When you half-ass it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to do a job, do it to your best ability. Don't be lazy.
Yeah. Yeah, whether people are watching or not.
Yes.
You make sure, if you're sweeping the floor, you sweep the floor well.
Yeah.
If you need to sweep it twice, you sweep it twice.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with not sweeping the floor well because you're going to have to sweep it later, so you just do a quick job. And it's not like I'm being religious about it.
No.
But whatever you put your hand to, like make sure your hand's attached to the whole body that's making that thing work.
Yeah.
Don't be lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think when we first got married, or the first number of years, I would say you are a difficult person.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now as I've come to understand you and you pointing things out, like what you like and why, and also it's a lot to do with your personality, I can appreciate that. Whereas in the beginning I would go, why are you being like that? Like, just relax.
Yeah.
And that's not helpful. Maybe sometimes it's helpful.
Sometimes it's helpful. Yeah, and
come on, boy,
learn.
lighten up.
Yeah.
But I've had to see that you're this way for a reason.
Yeah.
And you're the type of guy that comes in, you get stuff done, and you do it bloody well. And I know that I can, if I'm doing something with you, I know it's going to be the best it can be.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's the best.
Yes.
But I'll put my effort in.
Yeah. Like, I'm confident when I'm working with you.
Mm.
Yeah. So you are difficult, but you're not.
How do you think it's going to translate to Sammy?
I think Sammy's going to be a lot like you. You can already see it in him. He's particular. He wants to be held. He wants to go there, and if he's not got it, he gets all.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be very much like you, and then there's also that gentle side, where he's going to be very, I think.
No, we're going to bash that weakness out of him.
No. Yeah, I think a lot like you, but well-rounded. Not that you're not well-rounded.
I'm very well-rounded.
In areas. Yeah.
So, what do you think the next 5 years is going to look like? What do you think will be in 5 years' time? Where were we 5 years ago? 2015.
We were in hell.
We were in hell.
We were handling a lot of issues with every area of our life.
Personally,
Business, work,
yeah,
family,
yeah,
both sides of family.
yeah,
And then our own issues.
yeah,
It almost, we were like in a thing, like I thought, how are we going to get out of this? This is so intense. And I don't know if that's normal.
I think everybody has their moments, their ups and their downs.
Yeah, but we had it on every level all at once.
I think people do. You go through times. I don't think it's unique to us.
Yeah, that's...
But we do make issues for ourselves because we're so intense.
Yes.
Sometimes we can avoid issues if we just went a little slower and a little bit more calm. And so because of our intensity, we amplify sometimes the wrong things.
Yeah.
So we've got to learn how to mature in that intensity.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think in the last 5 years, we've come a long way. Feels like we're completely different people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think finally dealing with all the marriage stuff helped. But then also, then we went on the trip to America, and I felt like that solidified us.
Yeah.
We got through a lot before the trip, but then it was like we got to breathe on the trip and almost assess and think through what we wanted going forward.
Yeah. We basically asked that question for 2 months.
Yeah.
What's the next section of life going to be?
Yeah.
Last year. And so we made some very clear decisions or some framework for how we would make decisions. What we wanted out of life. Yeah.
And I feel like you recently, because when we first got married, you were you're always an entrepreneur, but you had lots of ideas and you're exploring lots of areas, and then that kind of went on hold for a while.
I felt like I was dying.
Yeah.
Every day I felt like I had no oxygen.
Yeah, you just kind of...
shriveled up.
Yeah.
Don't cry.
I'm crying. I'm crying. It's onions in the background. But it feels like now, because you got a lot more room, it's like you're now, even this place we're sitting in now, you moved us all into here. And in a sense, it feels too small.
It is too small.
But you're now dreaming again, and like we're envisioning this hall full of people in training sessions. And I mean, you've talked about it for years. You want to get entrepreneurs together, young guys, and just go and get stuff done. And now it's more possible.
Yeah. Remember we went to the Philippines in March last year, and we were sitting in the airport on the way back. We were saying, we could combine this area and that area, and we could implement this thing, and we were sitting there going, but it's impossible, we can't do it. But this is the dream, and this could happen, and that can happen, that can feed this. We could then maneuver this thing, and that would just be phenomenal, would help so many people with this thing, and that person could be in this position, and then we'd dream for 5-10 minutes, and then it'd be like, but it's impossible.
Yeah, we can't.
But now it's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible to play in the different arenas that we've got our hands on, and do it with passion and excitement and intensity, and take our time on it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can breathe.
Yeah.
I feel like the moment we knew that we were pregnant, I panicked for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had to man up. I had to grow a backbone, which I knew what the right thing was to do, but I didn't want to do it. And I could afford to not do it.
Why didn't you want to do it?
Fear of man. Fear of man, even that's an excuse, just lack of confidence. Just not being...
In you?
Yeah, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a cliche, but I'll try and avoid it. Like, I knew what the right thing was to do, but I didn't take up my position. I didn't take up the demeanor of that, and then whatever the consequences would have been of that, to just accept that those would be the consequences. I didn't want those consequences, so I didn't take it a position. And
I think also, I mean, you've been working at it, that you're a nice guy, And so you
I
don't...
don't know if I'm a nice
you
guy,
don't
but
naturally-
I'm a weak guy. I don't know about nice guy. I was a weak guy.
You don't naturally want to offend people.
No.
You don't want to have conflict.
No, not at all.
But you'll do it to get a result, but that's not your...
My go-to isn't fighting with people.
No.
I always try and bring peace in.
Yeah. And in order to get through some of that stuff, it required you having to confront.
Yeah. Well, when literally the moment that we got the blue line on the pea stick, it was like, yeah, we're crying and we're happy and all the rest. And then for 15 minutes...
Sean really cried.
I didn't cry. I panicked. I shook. I trembled.
You ran into the bathroom.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
like,
just in
"What's he
shock.
doing?"
Absolutely in shock. I was like...
I'm like, you excited, right?
No, I was genuinely excited, but
Yeah,
I realized I have to man up now.
Yeah.
And this is not about me and my weakness or my insecurity or my nicety or whatever, my lack of courage. Now it's about someone else that I'm responsible for. And to some degree, I'm responsible for you because I'm a husband and you're a wife and there's some responsibility there.
Yeah.
But you're the product of another two people.
Yeah.
And so we've come together as a married couple, already being formed to a certain degree. But now this little one that's coming along is now my responsibility. And it shook me. It shook me. And I knew all of that mentally, but emotionally it shook me. And then coming out of that 10, 15 minutes of panic and terror, I was saying things like, this is for my family now. Like that was now, it was a family thing. It wasn't a Sean thing with Bonnie going, come on, Sean, man up. It's now, this is for my family. I have no, I have a choice, but I don't want the negative consequences of not making this choice.
You don't want him to suffer.
Yeah,
because
I'm weak, or I'm nice, or I'm insecure. Yeah. So, and he will. That's the nature of humanity. Is all of us are broken to some degree.
Yeah.
And we're all on a journey to try and come out of that. Hopefully, some people aren't on a journey to come out of it. Some people are on a journey to go into it. So we will hurt him and corrupt him.
Sorry, Sammy.
Sorry, Sam.
We're going to try our best.
I hope we try our best. But there's some willful avoidance of decisions that I was making for years that I needed to put an end to it and make the right decision. And I did.
That's good.
Well, you know I did.
Yeah.
And in that moment I made the decision, but it worked itself out for the period afterwards. And probably is still working itself out. But that, it was a shocking, it was a terrifying 15 minutes. Terrifying. And it changed my life. There was the other experience, which you know and the family will know, but when I was about 22, 23, I looked at the mirror and saw my own eye. And they say the eye is the window of the soul, right? The windows of whatever they say.
Windows.
Yeah. And I caught a glimpse, but I didn't catch a glimpse of my eye. I saw my soul. I saw me. And in that moment, I heard a voice that said, you're going to die one day.
Sure.
And I can't remember if I fell to the floor or if I sat down, but I shook for 10, 15 minutes. It was absolute fear. Because up until that point, intellectually, I knew everyone dies. Yeah, of course. I had people in the family die. Yeah, I knew that. But I never thought I would die. I just thought I'd be around. I never...
Invincible.
Yeah, and that's the young person.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. It's not a curse. It's a beautiful thing. But in that moment, I realized, stop wasting your life. And I made some decisions in that moment that played out over about a year. But I made the decisions, man, I've got one shot at this, and then I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So, and it's very soon. It's just around the corner. That
could be, hopefully not too soon, but it is.
Listen, if it's another 100 years, it's very soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't want to waste. I still want to stop and smell the roses and all that, and I need to be better at that. But I don't want to waste those opportunities. Yeah. So, both when I was 22 and also with knowing that we were pregnant with Sammy, shook me and made me stand up.
Yeah, it did.
So I don't like this hippie idea of just being flippy floppy, greasy grays, And I'm not saying that grace is greasy, but there is some people who just think, oh, it's fine, man, it's cool, whatever. I think there's a finality to life that's coming for us all. Death comes to us all. That we should we should use that to our advantage. And
Yeah.
say, okay, we got a certain amount of time. Let's
What are we gonna
enjoy
do?
that time, but let's also use it
Yeah.
really well.
Well, when my gran died last week,
Mm.
because she's the first person I've personally known that's died.
In your family.
I mean, there's been other people in the family that have died, but I was so young.
Yeah.
So, you know, I didn't have a lot of memories, or
Yeah.
if any. So she was the first person. So when I thought through it, I was like, we are on this planet, one life. Like, what are we doing? And I think so often we can get caught up in the wrong things or distractions or issues and grudges, and it's like, do you really want to carry that to our death? I just thought, like, I'm going to die one day, and what am I going to have when I die?
Nothing.
You know, like I want something.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to my deathbed a bitter woman who hated all these people. You know, I don't want to be that, because you see bitter old people, and to look at it's disgusting. And I don't want life to get on me and affect me so much that I hate it. And I think as a melancholic, you are prone to that, the negativity and
if you go down the wrong road, you can.
Yeah. And if someone hurts you, it's like that really hurts you, and you carry that, and it's like, I don't want to carry that. Like, I want to be able to get over that stuff. Like, people say, when you choose to love the person that hurt you, that's more powerful than holding on to the grudge. It's freeing. You think it's more scary because you're now having to open yourself up again. But it's freeing. When you realize death, it's like, there's so many things that...
Have you had a moment where you realised death? Where you thought, I'm going to die?
Yeah. When we were fighting. I want to die. No. Well, maybe a little bit. To be honest, I feel like I'm always in a dream. Like, I'm going to get to the next life, and then I'm going to start living.
Reincarnation.
I don't know how to explain that, but I feel like sometimes I'm in this dream, and one day I'm going to wake up, and then that's going to be life.
Really?
It sounds really weird, but sometimes I feel like that.
Really?
And then I'm like, no, this is the life. I've got 30, 40 years left. This is my life. Yeah.
Do you think that's because you are melancholic and idealistic, very idealistic?
Maybe.
Do you think it's hurt you to be
Yeah.
so idealistic?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it has. I think I've missed out on opportunities.
Yeah. Like better husbands.
No. I don't think anyone else would have taken me.
No, people would have taken you.
Well,
They would have just returned you very quickly.
I'd have treated them up. Gosh.
Oh, you would have eaten some people up,
Thank
buddy.
goodness, if you know who you are. Thank goodness you did not marry me.
You would have eaten some people for breakfast.
Oh. Wow. That's the old Bonnie. She's dead. We killed her.
No, I think sometimes your idealism has stopped you from taking opportunities or not enjoy some of the opportunities you have taken.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
I think it helps you to aim higher, but sometimes I think most times it's hurt you.
Yeah. I think even coming into marriage, I had this ideal of what I want to do with my life, and it was this very specific way. And then I remember you saying, well, how are you going to fund that? Where's the money coming from?
Yeah.
How are you going to get those air tickets?
Something realistic.
Yeah. And I remember getting angry with you going, but it'll just happen. No, when I say that, I'm like, I'm stupid. It will not just happen. I love it how you We're like, I'm going to teach. That's the bread and butter. And then I'm going to do what I love. So, I had to come down from the clouds.
Yeah.
A lot.
I've spoken to, because for anyone who doesn't know, we've closed more businesses than have been successful. So we've played a lot and failed a lot. But we've got some things that have worked. And so every now and again, someone will ask me some questions for business and how do I start this and what happens there. And I don't know if they're asking the right person, but anyway, I'll give them the best that I got. And it always shocks me at how some people are so idealistic about how this is going to be. And they view the current thing that they're doing as a prison. Yeah. And then they think that this dreamlike, idealistic idea is now going to be the savior.
Yeah. And
they mix up the old thing that they're doing that's actually funding them and keeping them alive and putting food on their plate.
Yeah.
And they think that that's the prison. And then this new fandangled thing is now the promised land.
Yeah.
And they mix it up. What they've got to see is that this is the promised land because that's where they're eating now. This is the fun thing. This is a good thing. And that new idea potentially could be a prison because it could be the wrong thing. And so you got to use this seemingly like an anchor, a seeming prison. It's not a prison. It's something that's funding you. It's a platform so that you can get into the new thing that potentially could be risky and could be a failure. But this thing could keep you afloat. So every time I get the opportunity, I say to people, don't give up your day job.
Yeah.
Don't give up this thing that's working. Keep that working and then move into this new thing. Play around with it a little bit. Just 1 foot, 1 toe.
Yes.
And then if that thing works, then you can move from the old thing to the new thing. There's very few times that you have to make like a complete shift. And I think that's the idealism that people have is they think, oh, I'm just going to start this new thing. Yeah. I'm going to do this new relationship. I'm going to move to the new country. Yeah. And actually, because they hate the old thing, actually you're going to use that old thing as bread and butter. You're going to use that as your foundation. Yeah. And then when you move into the new thing, if it's the right thing, you can leave that thing.
Yeah. I think people see the successful people out there and they think they just, one day that just happened. And it didn't.
Yeah.
You go behind the scenes and it's the...
Yeah, a lot of these guys have a lot of failures under their belt.
Like a lot of them, they've started 5 businesses and then the 6th business was only the successful one.
So more than that,
Yeah.
I remember Branson, I remember reading him say, I think it was 5. He failed at 5 businesses. So when we failed at the first thing we were doing, I was like, well, that's 1 under the belt. We've got 4 to go. Yeah. And fortunately, we didn't have to go through that many failures to hit a success. But we have had that more than that many failures since. But that idealism can crush you, can absolutely crush you. I know you know this, but they might not know this, but the second most influential book of my life was Great by Choice by Jim Collins. Do you remember me talking about the Stockdale Paradox with you? So the Stockdale Paradox, there was the Second World War prisoner of war by the name of Stockdale. I don't know if he was captain or lieutenant or whatever, but Stockdale was the leader of I think the British, the RAF or something. They were caught, and so in the prison camps, this guy helped to get people through, and people survived and they all did well, and they came out of the war the other side and were rescued, and it was all due to this guy called Stockdale. So he's being interviewed decades later, and the question to him was, who died first? And his answer was, the optimists. Which you always hear people talk like people who want to encourage you and inspire you. You've got to be optimistic, which there's a degree of truth in that. But in the prisoner of war camps, the optimists are the one that died first. They didn't make it through because they had these unreal expectations. And when we're going to be out by Christmas, and then Christmas would come and they wouldn't be out. No, we're going to be out by Easter, and then Easter would come and they wouldn't be. And so they would lose hope and get really sick and die. Wow. But Stockdale had a plan. He planned for them to be in prison the whole war. He didn't expect to escape. So when they were interrogating people, everyone breaks. It's just your breaking point's different. Yep. So he planned for all the men, and he would have meetings and say, okay, you give them your name and your number, and you give them this information, you give them that information. After this many hours, you can tell them your name. And so he gave them a goal of when seemingly they were going to fail. Okay.
Okay.
And so he filtered through this information. So by the time they actually got all information from all the troops, it didn't mean anything anymore because now that intel was old intel. It didn't help the enemy.
Okay.
And so all these guys would have realistic goals that they would hit and then feel good about hitting those goals. And so he kept his men alive by not being optimistic.
Wow.
And it wasn't necessarily pessimism, it was just this realism, like this is the situation when let's make the best of it.
Yeah.
And he got people through. So this idea of idealism and optimism can hurt you.
Yeah.
If you promise, we're going to get there, and then you don't get there, you lose credibility, you lose trust within your own self, especially if you're dealing with other people. So there's got to be some realism. Yeah. It's not pessimism, it's just reality, because otherwise you get sick and die.
Yeah.
Hope deferred makes the heart sick.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah.
So I think we went through some heavy times because, I mean, to a degree, I think you more so than me, but to a degree, I was also idealistic. We had a great 2 weeks of marriage. First 2 weeks were fantastic. And then we got home from honeymoon. Before we even got home, we were on the plane to come home. And we just started fighting, and we didn't stop for the first 3 years.
Yeah.
Had a measure of peace for the next couple of years, and then in the 8th year, we didn't talk for 6 months.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to you for 6 months.
Yeah, we were like divorced people.
Pretty much. We separated people, basically.
Yeah.
We didn't have affairs or anything like that. It was just, we didn't want
that we know of. No.
Well, we didn't.
No.
No,
we were dealing with heavy, because I had some choices to make. I mean, you also had issues to deal with.
Of course.
But I think mine were more highlighted because it was more obvious.
Yeah.
And they were just getting worse because I couldn't hide. Well, while you were becoming more, what's the word?
What's the
more
word?
confident in what you want.
Yeah.
Or that this is not right and I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. While you're becoming more firm in that, I wasn't dealing with my stuff, and so it became highlighted and was affecting more.
Yeah,
so
it's getting worse.
I had to make some choices.
Got to the point where Bonnie would apologize, and I'd get angry because you apologized.
Yeah.
It was like, here's another apology.
Yeah, I'd apologize all the time. And I genuinely meant
in the moment.
But there was no fundamental shift.
Yeah.
So I kept going back.
Yeah.
But eventually...
Got it.
But, I mean, it was all up in the air. I don't know what you were thinking, but I was thinking this potentially, in the 6 months we weren't talking, potentially maybe we will never talk again. I thought. There
was a pocket of hope that we would get through it.
Really? For you?
Yeah. But I wasn't going to
show it.
Oh, I couldn't show it because giving you any sense of hope would mean that you would get out of the process.
Yes.
Because you would take the easy way out.
Yeah.
And then you would try and get into a pattern of, I'm just going to say whatever Sean wants me to say.
Do the right thing.
And then I knew that that's what you're doing, so it would infuriate me even more because I'm like, you're not getting the point. You're just saying so it just became worse and worse and worse. So I was hopeful that we would come out of it, but I didn't let that hope dictate the process.
Yeah.
I knew the marriage I wanted. By that point, I knew exactly the marriage I wanted and the marriage I didn't want. There's not a marriage on this planet that I want. I don't look at your parents or my parents or the people around us and think, oh, I like that marriage. Maybe aspects, but there's no marriage that I want that I can see in its entirety. There's little elements. I'm trying to qualify too much. Just say what you mean. But so I knew what I wanted, and I wasn't prepared.
To settle.
Yeah, to settle. I didn't want to settle. I don't want to end up old, bitter, upset, diluted. It just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
And as detestable as divorce is in my own mind, and how close we were, and I think, oh, that's really not good. I would rather have divorced, even though think it's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. I don't think anyone thinks that divorce is a good thing.
Yeah.
I would rather have divorced than carried on in a... It wasn't a sham of a marriage because it was genuine marriage, but in a diluted form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no point to it, in a sense, at that time. We were just fighting, going around in circles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible. But I had to come to a point where it's like the light bulb did go on.
Yeah.
Because previous years, the same issues were highlighted, and I thought I had dealt with it, but then come around, or the same thing would happen, and then would flare up again.
When you say that, you're talking about insecurity.
Yeah, that was my issue, insecure, and also just like having a rejection complex. So anything
well, you were rejected, so you felt insecure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt. So eventually, I had to deal with it. I had to.
Well, you didn't have to deal with it. You could have skipped out of the process.
No, I didn't have to, but I wanted I wanted to be married to you.
Yeah. And I think me knowing that and me wanting to give you that and give you the best and all the rest, because that is my mindset, it didn't help us. Because I let you get away with...
I used...
Yeah, you
used you.
This.
Used and abused.
And so I had to learn to stand up and not be too nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we had perfect issues to complement each other. Eh?
Yeah.
Perfect issues.
Yeah.
And so when I stood up, then it was a really big crisis.
Yeah.
A really big crisis.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, when's the last time we had a fight?
I can't remember.
Maybe once or twice a week we might snap at each other, but we haven't had a fight for a long time.
And when we do have an issue or fight, it's quite quickly solved.
Doesn't linger.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we had to mature. I had to mature a lot.
Both of us.
Yeah. But the real issues were dealt with. And I think for me, I feel so like accomplished.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't have moments, because I definitely have moments.
Yeah.
But it's nice to look back and go, if that thing happened 5 years ago, I would be fuming inside.
Yeah.
I would be so agitated and not at peace. And now it's like things happen that would have freaked me out, and I'm at peace.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't have to get a grip sometimes, because I do.
Yeah.
My mind can wander, and then I'm like, no, bring it back. But I feel a happier person.
You are much happier, Bunny.
Yeah.
You were a ticking time bomb. It was always like, oh no, I used to walk home after work and think, oh no, I have to go home. What's going to happen now? It was terrible.
Oh, gosh.
We don't have that anymore. So what was the solution to our problem? Listen to your husband unequivocally. He is the boss. He's wonderful. Everything he said is golden.
Yes. Yes, I think I had to learn to honour you and trust. Trust was a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
But it's more so the honour. So even where I maybe in areas where I didn't trust you, not because of you, because you're completely trustworthy, it's because of my issues, broken trust. Even when I felt like I couldn't trust you, I had to learn to still honour and the whole submission thing. I think a lot of people look at submission as a dirty thing, or a woman just being weak, or just tolerating, and I think it's not weakness, it's actually the most powerful thing a woman can do, and it's empowering as well. And the revelation I got at that time was because I often would be like, once Sean does this, then I will do this. And I was always waiting for you to deal with your issues, then I will deal with mine. Because your issues are making me
Yeah, it was
have
always
issues,
someone else's fault.
you know. And so I came into a revelation that in the Bible how it says, wives, submit to your husbands. And it says that first.
Before husbands love wives.
Yeah. And I think women say, I'm only going to submit when my husband does this. The Bible says, wives, submit. And it's not submit when you buy me the rose or when you do this or that. No, submit regardless of what you're doing. And when I submit, there's like not chemistry is not the right word, but there's something that happens that then the husband can then love his wife.
It was impossible, and I actually mean it. It was basically impossible to love you.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because when you didn't submit, you would use all these tactics and games, and because I was insecure and I didn't deal with the thing properly, and I didn't have the backbone, I couldn't love you. Yeah. I mean, I loved you in my emotions and by my choice. Yes. But there wasn't that. It wasn't real love. Yeah. It was an attempt at love. Yeah. From a right motive, but it was impossible. It was a bottomless pit. It just didn't work. And I was like trying to get that love from you to fill and I knew that was happening. Yeah, but I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. And you being nice, you want to give it, but it's like a repulsion in a sense because I'm needing this from you, and it's not that I do need things from you. Yeah. But it was coming from an unhealthy. But my heart is to give you those things. Absolutely.
But I don't want to give, and it's not I don't want to give because I'm selfish. It's I did this and I saw that it didn't help. Yes. But I don't want to give into a bottomless pit. Yeah. Because there's just no. Yeah. It just doesn't work. Yeah. When that foundation's fixed, then you can give and it's amplified and appreciated and reciprocated and. Yeah. But when that foundation's broken, it doesn't matter what anyone else does on the planet. Yeah. Oh yeah. It will not work.
Never feel you. Never.
You always got to start here. This is always the problem. It's not others. It's not outside. It's not mommy, daddy, husband, wife, children. It's here. Right. Here's the problem.
Yeah. So in those 6 months that we didn't speak, that's what I was doing. I was dealing with this. Yeah. And I had the thought of, once I finally deal with my stuff, maybe Sean, he's done. So I'm dealing with my stuff, even regardless of you.
That's the right way to do it.
Yeah, and so, because I wasn't sure we were going to get back together. I wanted that, and I did believe that, but there was a chance, if I don't deal with this, then there is no hope. But more importantly, me as a human being, I need to deal with that. Or whatever, you know.
And that's part of the reason I stayed out of the process too, was that if it was dependent on me, then it's not this, it's something else. Yeah. So you had to get that foundation independent of me, regardless of me, whether I would be involved in the future or not. Yeah. And that's always been my heart for you, is that you are independent. Yeah. Like, I really want you to be able to do this and manage that and move this stuff and have the confidence and independent of me. Yeah. I actually want you to be strong in and of yourself. Yeah. Not some weak woman who just does what I say, when I say, how I say, and doesn't have a free thought. Yeah. I want you to be strong.
Yeah. And I think with the submission thing, I think that's where people get it wrong. Because people think submission is just a woman going, yes sir, no sir, you know, this.
Isn't it that?
Better not be, you know, like just running around after their husband, and it's not.
What is it?
Good question.
What is submission?
For me, I feel like it's literally laying down everything that I want and going, what you want. And it's not that I will never get that, because that's the beautiful chemistry, is when I give or I submit, I'm going to get in return. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's like this fear of, if I do what you say, I'm not gonna, like, those things I'm never gonna get. But I find like, yeah.
What happens if you're submitting to something that I want that's a wrong decision? Not immoral or anything.
That's what I was going to say, actually.
A bad decision.
Yeah.
Bonnie, I've just got a brand new investment. We're going to invest $1 million into product X, and it's going to be a failure. But I've got an inside tip. I know what we're going to do, and you know it's a bad thing. You don't trust the guy who's offering me the investment. What do you do then?
Well, I think we've had not those kind of situations, but you've said something or you're going to do something. I'm like, so I'll still say what I think. I don't want to be one of those people that just go, yeah, sure, okay. If I feel like something's wrong or that's not going to be good, I will voice it. But I never want to force you into something, because then it's not real. And then if you're forced, you're not going to feel like...
Can you force me into things? Honest answer.
At this point, no. But maybe...
Not maybe, definitely.
Back then, yes. And that was the thing for wanting to be loved, is I would say, well, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? And now I look back and I go, if Sean wants to do something, he will do it. I'm not going to try and orchestrate. I might communicate it, but I'm not going to manipulate. Because then I feel dirty. I'm like, he's only doing this because...
Yep.
And it's like, no. But when you do things your way and what's important to you, then I feel good.
Yeah, because you know it's genuine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, I do things, like I took you to your hotel that you love that I don't like, but it's your hotel, and I've got the full thing and the rolls and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Not for me. That was completely for you.
Yeah. That was
And I did that because I wanted to. You had no idea. You had no expectation. It was a complete shock.
Yeah.
So I want to give you that, but when it's forced and manipulated, it has no value.
It gets the opposite response. And I don't want that. And so submission, even when I don't agree. There's sometimes I think something's happened, you've done it, and I'm like, this is not right. And I've gone along with it, and then later on you've gone, no. So I like to just go, let you figure that out. Because
I think when you've got that submission, as the husband, I'm much more likely to listen to a warning or a concern or a, hey, watch out for this, because you're not doing it as a manipulative tactic or a game, or you're not doing it for selfish gain. You already submitted. You're saying, Sean, if you want to go that way, I just think it's a bad choice. I'm much more ready to listen to that and heed that. Yeah. And I do have a huge respect for when you say things. And we will bash things out. We'll play with ideas. We'll look at different angles together. It's not like we have this board meeting every day. We're like, okay, we're going to do this or we do that. We'll openly communicate. It's not like an old school, the wife never speaks type thing. But every now and again there comes a point. But every now and then there comes a point where I'm like, Bonnie, we're going this way. Well, no, Bonnie, we're going this way.
We're doing this.
We're doing it, and we're going to do it with a good attitude.
Yeah.
And when that happens, now, it didn't used to be this way, but now there's that submission and that flow, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I don't fight you on things, really. Eh?
I can't think of anything you fought me on the last.
Before, I was fighting left, right, and centre, and then I would make it known, the looks and the...
And then you would sit down heavy, flop your shoulders down.
Yeah.
Eye rolls.
Terrible.
Just unbelievable.
Terrible.
How can humans do that to each other? Now I see eye rolls and I just want to slap people. I don't, but I want to slap people. I think that's so disgusting.
Yeah.
Slamming doors.
That is.
It's childish.
It is.
Should have been beaten out of you as a kid.
Yeah.
I used to carry Bonnie's bag.
Did you?
when we were going out, I used to carry your bag, and then we would fight about something, and you would run off, and I would follow you with the bag and think, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'd look at myself like in the third person and say, what is happening? But I was so confused and discombobulated. I'd be like,
Oh no, I don't remember that.
And then one day you got angry at me because I didn't stop you from crossing the road or something. Your car hooted and almost hit you or something. I remember thinking, how is that my fault? You're throwing a tantrum and it's my problem.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point I manned up and said, no, if you get run over because you're running away, that's on you. That's not
your
me.
fault,
and I won't even feel bad for it. That's yours.
Yeah.
You were a big fight.
I must have loved that.
That was a big fight. But fortunately, not fortunately, it's nothing to do with fortune, but choice, decision, backbone, growing security, challenging.
Yes.
Sometimes feeling like you're walking through hell. We've built a marriage, Bonnie. We didn't arrive at this by accident.
No.
And we didn't just roll the dice and get an easy marriage. We fought tooth and nail
dig deep
for what we've got.
Those foundations are deep.
Very deep.
And thank God we did it before we had kids.
I can't imagine having to fight this battle. Having Sammy.
It would have been incredibly difficult.
He would have been a manipulative tool.
Oof. That poor boy.
So
yeah.
We dealt with that.
Yeah.
I think it was God's blessing on us to not have kids until we had dealt with it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we needed the space.
Yeah.
Man, but yeah, you got to deal with your stuff. You have to. You
don't have to.
We don't have to, but I think if I didn't deal with that, I just was a terrible person.
You weren't. You were lovely on the surface of things, Bonnie.
Yeah, but internally, who knows where that would have gone?
It would have gone to alcoholism.
Yeah.
It would have gone into shrinking life.
Mm.
It would have gone down some rough facade.
Relationships. Yeah, because I wanted life. I wanted...
Yeah.
And I would do certain things to get that feeling.
Yeah.
But, or suppress the
pain of it
pain,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've all had those opportunities and we've all gone on those roads to certain degrees.
Yeah.
But I think you're in a healthy... Well, we are in a healthy place. We both had to mature, grow up, confront things.
And I love talking about going through that. I think sometimes when we've talked about it with people, they're like, oh, shock. But I just find it so freeing. And I think I wish more people were more transparent and honest, because I think a lot of marriages could be saved just by someone going, yeah, that's how I felt. And I smashed the TV too. And, yeah. Yeah.
So, what would your advice to close? What would your advice be to someone who's not married and wants to get married?
Come watch for the next podcast. No.
My advice would be, don't do it.
Don't get married.
Don't get married. Make that your default. Don't make your default you want to get married, because you'll dilute and you'll sell out and you'll take cheap options and all the rest. Make your default you're never getting married. Make sure you start here, not out there. Stop blaming everyone else. There's plenty of fish in the sea. There's not a fish problem, it's a you problem.
That's right.
Deal with this. And when you do this, you make yourself irresistible to those fish.
Mm-hmm.
Because you put together and you've got the right mindset, and you've got the right ethic, and you've got the right whatever. Yeah. And then from that place, you're now in a position where you could handle the responsibility of a marriage. Yeah. And the responsibility of someone else's issues, because I still have issues and you still have issues. Yeah. We're just at a place now that we can handle that stuff. There's a maturity there.
You can see it and take responsibility. Yeah. But I think a lot of people go into marriage wanting something or needing, and there's nothing worse than that needy.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, I think
you've got to go into marriage not needing anything.
So I'm going to say something. I hope this doesn't offend you, but I think people that
this is going to offend.
So
I'm already offended. I'm pre-offended.
They're desperate to get married.
Hashtag cancel Bonnie.
Be quiet. No, be quiet, woman. People that are so desperate to get married and haven't been able to find someone, I think most times, not every time, it's because they're not dealing with their issues. You see
Hashtag cancel Bonnie has been trending.
But you see desperate girls, and they will take any guy, and it can end up in an abusive relationship, or they just tolerate stuff because they're so desperate. And I think that desperation is destructive. So my advice is deal with your stuff.
But it's the same thing for guys. Some guys end up in really abusive. They get the pretty girl.
Yeah.
Pretty girls are usually the worst.
They got the most issues.
So they end up
be really pretty. No, I'm kidding.
So arrogant.
I'm joking.
But so guys, I mean, we're all the same. We're all the same defective humans. We all have these issues. It's nothing unique to us. Everyone's got the element of this, and I think it's worth investing the time to develop some sort of foundations personally, and then secondarily relationally.
Yeah.
Because it's a powerful thing when you've got a good marriage.
And also, Christian people get so desperate. And then it's like, I need to find someone, and then we need to do this, and then get married. And it's just so, like, just enjoy it, have fun, and stop being so, like, I can't do this and I can't do this. And I remember thinking back when I was growing up.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But I remember thinking back in Adelaide, I remember someone asking me a question on camera, do you believe in dating?
What?
And I was all religious about it. I'm like, no, I don't believe in dating. You should just know it's the right person and then get married. And I'm like, what am I talking about? Because you don't always know this is the right person. You got to go and have fun and get to know them. I didn't know you were the person I'm going to marry the moment I met you. I didn't. But it took time. And then I'm like, I want to marry this guy.
You weren't sure I was the right person after 5 years of marriage.
No, you are.
So, this has been the Marriage Podcast.
No.
Children, death and marriage.
Go get some.
Don't get some.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I hope that insight is helpful. And I know some people would say you shouldn't talk about your issues and air your dirty laundry and all of that. But
I'm proud of it.
I wish people were much more honest about the reality of what their lives are.
Yes.
And we stuff up almost on a daily basis with different things, and we fail regularly. We probably fail more than we succeed, and we all have bad attitudes and bad ideas and do bad things pretty consistently. And I think the positive is coming out of it, still being confident and still knowing who you are and where you wanting to go and what you want to do. Yeah. Despite all of that brokenness, I think that's very, very valuable. But if you just presented with this idea of everything's perfect on the surface of things, then you think that someone really is like that, and nobody, not one human being is like that.
You're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, you're going to be idealistic. So it's good to see that. I think we've got a fantastic marriage. I wouldn't want any other marriage on the planet. I think we've fought hard, we've worked hard.
We've built what we want.
We built what we want, but even in this building of what we want, it's still holes and broken and all sorts.
Yeah.
So I'm so used to ending these things like a daily encouragement. The
encouragement
that we're not doing it.
Do not say bless you.
Bless you.
No.
But it's been good. It's been
long. I'm sorry.
It's late. It's almost the next day now, but it's been good.
Yeah.
Tune into the podcast next week.
Bye.
Bless you.